Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes.
Trans women are not women. Oh, brother. Wait, what is the other one? Kamala Harris, a DEI candidate? Oh, brother. Oh, that's a Hasan head, by the way.
Define our... Okay.
I like that he's going to define... His entire premise is trans women are not women. The prompt is trans women are not women. And he's going to try to, like, basically write the main point of contention as the underlying premise that every party has to operate on, when, like, that is literally the entire point of, like, what the argument is going to revolve around. Where he just straight up is like, yeah, I'm going to define to you what a woman is, these hard boundaries, which is the entire point of contention, but you have to fucking literally agree with me. Okay, well, that's really stupid.
What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me, what is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how...
it's not. A table is an...
Ask him to describe a table. Ask him to describe a table. I mean, classic. Define a chair. Define a table. You will never be able to define a table under such certain conditions that you cannot actually technically be defining something else. Yeah.
object.
Well,
A table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have
but
choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but
you
right
said-
now I'm a man, right? So if that happened right now, I'd be a woman.
Thing is.
Once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
Got it. No,
they're a woman.
that's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what.
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But you have how do you know that?
They're great. I mean, that's it. What's the counter to that? I just don't agree with you. Okay, well, that's why we're debating. Okay, bro, I hate the fact that they got to play musical chairs to talk to this nincompoop.
That they are that thing.
How do I don't need to know what they. I can ask them if I want to know.
But there needs to be. You need to tell me what that thing is, though.
Somebody who. Okay, sorry, we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere.
Well, no, it's important because it's like saying a giraffe is a thing that looks like a giraffe, or a coyote is a thing that looks like a coyote. It's called circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
I don't have to. I did give you a definition.
No. You said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman. That doesn't give me a definition. That's
something that thinks they're a woman is fucking gross, dude. Holy shit.
Simply
what would you consider a definition then?
An adult female with XX
No.
chromosomes.
I mean, like, what makes that a definition?
Hello.
Hi.
Juliana?
Juliana,
I remember,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that you can define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than that. They come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors.
Yeah, they should be like, oh, so XX chromosomes, do you think Ann Coulter is a woman? He says yes. Then you turn around and say, okay, well, she doesn't have XX chromosomes, so I guess she's not a woman. Also, this is not how you operate in society, okay? Gender is not like a physical biological construct. It can have physical properties to it, but it's ultimately a social construct, which is something that Charlie hates because he didn't go to college and he didn't do gender studies. Okay? Wait, Ann Coulter, really? Not going to say anything else. No, Ann Coulter is not a trans woman, by the way, for the record. Oh my God, I think you missed the part earlier where Charlie said he didn't believe in gender. He's a base gender abolitionist. God, he's too woke for me. Like, the thing is, most people don't even know what their fucking chromosomes are, regardless. Okay? Yeah, you can be a XY female. There are obviously differences. But the irony here is Charlie Kirk is trying to fit a very neat definition of what it means to be a woman, and there are millions, like tens of millions, even if we do not factor trans women into the equation, there are tens of millions of women right now worldwide that do not fit that standard that Charlie Kirk would consider to be a woman, and would be shocked if they were to find out that they do not fit that standard. That's number one. Number two, Charlie Kirk would also probably be shocked that that plenty of people Did I say occasion? Equation. Okay, my bad. Charlie Kirk probably also ends up talking to a shitload of trans women that he doesn't know are trans and treats them as full-blown, fully fleshed women because they are. It's just that he doesn't recognize that. This happens all the time, okay? That's the reason why we say, and that's the reason why gender is a social construct. What is not a social construct, however, is the 3-minute ad break. That is very real, okay? It's as hard science as it's going to get. You're going to see the 3 minutes of ads at the top of the hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
And I don't necessarily think that you can count out somebody who's trans just because they don't have a certain set of chromosomes. There are also people who are born,
Sex isn't a social construct? No. But also sex is not binary either. I have a master's in gender studies. Sex isn't a social construct, but sex itself is also not binary. Even Ben Shapiro recognized this now, by the way. He literally will, like, Ben Shapiro regularly will talk about how, like, he used to say that sex is binary, but even Ben Shapiro has, like, moved beyond that, where he talks about sex is binary in mammals. The scientific biological definition of what a male and female are relevant for many things such as sports. Gender is a different thing. Sex is binary in mammals. No, that's not true either. Okay? If sex was binary in mammals, then you wouldn't have intersex people. What the fuck are you talking about? How can you be so confident in something that is so completely incorrect? I listened to Richard Dawkins. Do you just, in your mind, like, you've just never thought about, like, intersex people, for example? Oh, okay. Well, if Richard Dawkins says so, then I'm wrong, I guess. There are variations. Okay. So it's not binary then. Definitionally, it is not a binary. When you admit that there are variations, you all of a sudden are cognizant of the reality that it is not binary. What do you think binary is? 1, 0. So when you recognize that there are variations, you fucking understand that it's not binary. He said he was a Dawkins fan, not smart, my dude. I know. Even Ben Shapiro nowadays says it's what is it, bimodal, which is, you know, not great either. But dude, it's crazy that you just said. I love that you literally just said it's binary and then openly recognize. Yeah, bimodal is the term for it. But you yourself deflated your own argument.
I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Intersex?
Yes.
So XXY
yes.
or YYX?
Or just, yeah, or like.
Sure.
Okay, here, you want me to watch this? Sure, go ahead.
How did America rise up from a backwoods country to be one of the greatest nations the world has ever known? We pioneered industries. And all of this required the greatest innovations in science and technology.
Variations happen due to genetic conditions and disorders. Yeah, this is where we come to the social stigma that you associate with sex, which you're not even talking about sex. You're talking about gender at that point without realizing that you're talking about gender. That's it. Like, when you consider something to be an aberration, okay, and you consider it to be an anomaly, but the anomaly that you're talking about is like millions of people, okay, you either have to factor them into the equation and not be a fucking weirdo about it, or you can commit yourself to the firmly held beliefs that you had prior, despite the fact that there is evidence to show the contrary.
In the world. And so science is a fundamental part of the country that we are. But in this, the 21st century, when it comes time to make decisions about science. Also, in terms of chromosomes, the chromosomal variety also, you would be a good STEM learner? No, I wouldn't. I hate STEM. The chromosomal variety also extends far beyond intersex. Intersex is just one aspect of this conversation. It seems to me people have lost the ability to judge what is true and what is not, what is reliable, what is not reliable, what should you believe, what should you not believe. And when you have people who don't know much about science, standing in denial of it and rising to power, that is a recipe for the complete dismantling of our informed democracy.
Let us demand.
What the fuck? Why is the chatter forcing me to watch this? I'm not watching this shit, dude. Chatter, you've lost linking privileges. Okay, Turkish chatter who was like, you have to watch this shit.
X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
Wait, whoa. Don't say yes to that.
yeah, but that also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X,
One
just
is more
X,
dominant
and
than
there's
the
a
other. So
Okay,
you're either
that's-
more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and a vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
okay. I also don't necessarily think that works for this situation, but I also want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex.
Yeah, the chromosome argument is incredibly easy to rebut. Most people have met thousands of women and have never checked the chromosomes of even one. So how could you possibly define what a woman is? Like, do you know if the chromosomes are what factors into the equation and you and that's the only way that you can be convinced that someone is a woman, don't you think that society would fall apart if that's the level of distinction? That is the level of, like, you would refuse to call someone by their gender pronouns until you figured out what their fucking chromosomes are. Have you inspected the chromosomes of your mother, Charlie? Charlie responds, she gave birth to me. So obviously she's a woman. You don't know what her chromosomes look like, and you don't even know that she actually gave birth to you. So why the fuck are you claiming that? Some things you just take for granted. Okay? In order for society to operate this way, this would be an utterly irrational and idiotic standard to apply to every single social interaction. You do not even know if there's a trans woman in this room. There might be a trans woman in this room. There's a high likelihood that there's a trans woman in this room, and you probably never even considered it. You are literally pointing to them and referring to them with she, her pronouns because that's just how we work. There are thousands of people that I could show Charlie Kirk that in an effort to abide by the standards that trans women are not women, he would have to refer to by an incorrect gender pronoun that would make it really hard for him to have a normal conversation with other people, including fucking Blair White, right? Blair White is a right-wing charlatan, a trans woman who is Blair White is a right-wing a trans content creator, right? If you were to fucking use the pronouns that you believe she should have, you would not be able to have a normal conversation with people. Let's say you have your umbrella. Let's say you're sitting down, okay? And you want to grab your umbrella before you leave, okay? But you can't get to your umbrella. Blair White is standing next to your umbrella. You ask your friend for help. You say, hey, can you grab my umbrella? Your friend's like, where is your umbrella? Okay, Blair White is standing next to it. Do you say, oh, my umbrella is next to that man right there? If you were to say that, absolutely zero people would understand what the fuck you're talking about. You'd be like, what? What do you mean? You'd say, oh, my umbrella is next to her. Okay? That is because gender is a social construct and absolutely zero people fucking apply the standard. They just want to act like they would apply the standard. It's very stupid. That is precisely the reason why Ben Shapiro on numerous occasions has accidentally correctly gendered a trans person, stopped himself dead in his tracks, took a breather, and then turned around and misgendered them deliberately because it's just about doing harm. It's just about being a fucking piece of shit. It's basically fucking vice signaling, okay? Showing the rest of the world how big of a fucking dickhead you are. That is what the conservative movement is all about, especially in modern day, all right? That's what it's about. Hasan, some women don't have typical XX chromosomes. Examples include women with androgen insensitivity syndrome, XY, Turner syndrome, XO, or mosaicism, mix of XX and XY cells. Gender identity doesn't always align with chromosomes. Exactly.
Organs. If somebody asked me who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair.
I
See,
would.
No, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think it's Well, that's the thing too, and I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there.
It's an expression. If we're talking about gender in that regard, it's an identity. It's an expression. It's how you present yourself. It's how you want to be regarded as. That's it. It's like the sock you put on your foot, you know? It's a performance in the most reductive terms.
There are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure. But you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
I think she's a better person than me. I think she
so
lives
women are
life.
better people?
She's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are. So I want to know what that definition is.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna let some.
This is the best argument in favor of gender studies. Exactly. This is why Charlie doesn't want it. Okay. This is why Charlie doesn't want gender studies, so that there are more dumbasses who think like he does, which is crazy because it is objectively untrue. Saying that gender is biologically determined and it is biology is objectively untrue. And you're going to find very few scientists who agree to that. Okay. You'll find like every now and then, the only scientists that actually disagree with that are now famous, and not famous because of their science, famous because they're right-wing charlatans. Okay. That's it. Like real adults, real people, real academics are not going to fucking be like, yeah, I don't really care about what the actual evidence is. Okay. I just personally don't agree with it. No. And now I'm going to do a podcast. That's not how that works.
Somebody else
That's all
go.
good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Parker, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex. Now,
Got it.
define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one, XY chromosomes in a
Okay,
adult
but
male.
does God the Father have XY chromosomes
Okay, back to
prior to
that.
incarnation?
We literally have a religious
he's
topic
a
later.
father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait,
topic
so a
later.
man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't
Okay.
have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man,
Well,
and he still
so
uses preferred
it's
pronouns?
actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word for God.
God,
It's
yeah.
actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he, right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to
I think like debating him on religious shit is like, I don't know. Just like, I know this person is obviously well equipped to have this conversation just on the trans issue alone. Like, and it's funny to watch Charlie flail, but I think it's even better if you make him flail on the boundaries that he suggests within the argument, within the confines of the argument.
But God the
You know what
Father's
I
a
mean?
man, right? Because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a Trinity. So God the Father is neither man nor woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top
So
of
why
it.
do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him. But the way that the language is structured, again, it is so. God the Father is so above gender. It is so above any of our understanding.
Then why use
with
him?
glory and understanding? Again, because you have to make a choice, either he or him or her.
Murad is such a fucking chatter. He walked over and he heard the conversation that's taking place on my screen. And he said, "This does not seem like a Sunday fun day." That's what he said. This piece of shit.
In
He's
the
such a
original
chatter,
scriptures.
dude.
Let's go back to. I'm happy
Some
to get into
fathers
that,
aren't men and boys?
but- So I'm.
So some fathers
I'm
are not men and boys,
well,
not men
well,
or boys.
well, I'm sorry. What,
Some
what do you-
fathers are not male.
No, of course they are. I'm not.
Wait, so God the Father's a male?
Hold on. God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek
Well,
word?
from your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right? Which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my
right?
questions, and you're bringing up random language that doesn't
No,
matter.
Well, it actually does.
No, it
okay?
doesn't.
But let me get down to the root of it, because
Because he's not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview, yet
Hold
you
on.
still use his
Well,
preferred pronouns. You
Christ
still
is-
call him a man.
Christ is a
but you
man,
don't do
though.
that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it. But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality and
Before
gender
incarnation, he's
of
not.
the Trinity. Okay.
Before incarnation,
Okay.
there's no penis, there's no XY chromosomes, there's no small
hold on a
gametes.
second. Let's think about it. If that's correct, how is it then Jacob saw the face of God?
Okay, so if there's
Hold on. If there was not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with God?
Characters can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
so okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well,
Or was that a figurative notion of wrestle?
That's a mystery of the scriptures. I'm not here. Well, it is. I'm not here to debate theology. Can we go back to
So,
what we're talking
does he
about?
actually have biology? You keep trying to pivot because you know this debunks you.
Well,
what,
it doesn't-
what biology
it
does your
doesn't-
God have?
Well, the one of Christ our Lord.
No, I meant
right?
before incarnation.
Well, to be honest, I don't quite know, and I
You
don't
don't
think
know?
the scriptures
So
are.
you don't know
little-
what a man is?
Well,
You can't define what a man is?
It's a little opaque. Again, you're looking at a man.
But your video,
God,
the largest video on TikTok is, what is a woman, 20 million views, but you don't know what a man is under your own worldview?
I said you're looking at a man, right?
Wait, but
Am I
God the
looking at a
Father
man?
doesn't meet that criteria.
Wait. When Charlie says you're looking at a man, he literally just dunks on his own argument, right? Which is you define yourself as a man and therefore you're a fucking man. There are plenty of men that don't fall under this distinction, including, I guess, the religious one, which I don't really care about necessarily. But you know, you're self-defining yourself as a man, so we just assume you're a man because we're not fucking assholes. Nobody actually checked your chromosomes. It's just a trust me, bro type situation. Okay? Show me your dick right now, Charlie. Show me your fucking penis. And even then, that's not even your chromosomes. You need to come in with your blood work, dog. Understand how fucking stupid that argument is? Like, I need to see your blood work. I need to see your chromosomes. If that is the standard that we would apply to understand what a woman is and what a man is, it would obviously be ridiculous. Society would fucking collapse. Thank God we don't do that. And you know we don't do that. And you know we'll never do that. You just want to be a fucking asshole to trans people.
Yeah.
Am I looking at a man?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Just making
A
sure.
man that's beating you in a debate right now.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask you a question, though. So do you think that anybody can become a woman?
I think that anyone who meets my criteria is a woman.
What's your criteria again?
Again, adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Can society ever be wrong?
Sure, but like it's a desire to be in accordance with a set of social and cultural norms.
Can I
It's not
become black if I
society's
wear
right.
blackface?
No, because it's not a desire that you have to be in accordance with a particular set of social
What if
and
somebody
cultural
wants
norms.
to be black?
Because race is defined phenotypically based upon the expression to other people.
But you're by some standard you're judging that.
Do you think there's a phenotypical expression of someone who's white and someone who's black? Like I see you're white because of your phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think? But Rachel Dolezal that said she is black and culturally black, is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people who are
phenotypical. I'm not sure what that word means.
Phenotypical. It's going to be the expression.
So
of
melanin
particular
content, one
characteristics.
skin.
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait. So she.
There's also a social application of race as well, by the way. Like, race is also, in some ways, a social construct. It is not a fucking hard-defined biological determination either. There is, like, biological expressions of race. Having said that, however, of course race is a social construct. What the fuck do you think the one-drop rule is? That is literally something that white people made up, okay? And by white people, I mean, I guess Anglo-Saxon Protestants, like the early Anglo-Saxon Protestants, because they also didn't consider, well, depending on who you talk to, Benjamin Franklin thought French were also white, but like not the Germans or the Nordics, you know, and definitely not Italians. But the concept of white has obviously expanded throughout time, especially in the United States of America, and it's very different everywhere else. Whiteness just means proximity to power, but blackness is defined by the one-drop rule.
She doesn't have the melanin content.
She's borderline.
No?
Heavily.
Okay, so then she's not black.
Okay, so you're able to say who is black.
What do you mean she's borderline? No, dog, she was white. What the fuck do you mean borderline? No, Rachel Dolezal was white. The reason why we know that is because she was outed as white. She was a white woman. She is a white woman. There's no fucking borderline. She was doing blackface, dog. What the fuck?
Black and not black?
That's how we define it in society. No shit.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Every
really?
word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
No, now
you
we're
might think it's created by God, but even then it's still
Got
subjective.
it. But now
because it came from
we're
God.
getting somewhere.
God's a subject.
Now we're getting somewhere. Is the word and the value behind murder objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective. But you think it's subjective
is.
too
So,
because it comes
hold on.
from God.
That's interesting.
Wait,
So-
does it come from God or independent of God?
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's
If
transcendent.
that's true,
it's
that's
transcendent
subjective.
human beings.
That's
No, it's
subjective.
not.
Yes, it is.
No.
If it comes from God, it's specifically subjective. If it comes independent of God, then it's objective.
No,
what
it's
you just told me
God-
is
God is
also
objective
compatible
morality.
with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand
right?
metaethics.
Well, I hold on a second.
What
Let's
does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality
Define
means
it.
that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form,
True
not
dependent upon a
objective.
stance.
Again,
God
we're-
is a stance, and that's the
hold
truth
on a
of
second.
morality.
So if let's believe. Do you believe in the? If everybody believed in the concept.
Again, he's cooking him on an entirely... We've moved so far beyond trans women are not women as the major point of contention. The flags are, if 11 people raises them, then he has to step aside until the end of the like the subject. He's doing great in terms of debate pervertry. I think the moment that you talk about the subjectivity of morality, saying that I'm sorry, but I'm blasting both of these lords into the sun. This seems like debate lord arguing that is too weird for normal people. Not necessarily. I'm against Parker on this one and the simple virtue of this getting way too debate bro like. Yeah. I wish he would have kept it. I wish he would have kept the conversation. Everything stems from religion for these people, man. That's why he goes there. I wish he would have just kept the subject to trans women or not women, because I know he can just like cook him on that. He probably on TikTok does too many like religion debates, and that's his comfortable avenue. So he's just hitting him from that angle over and over again. And Charlie is like a fucking psychopathic Christian fascist. You know what I mean? So like, it's not wrong to hit him on that, but just the conversation in this moment is just about whether trans women are women or not. And there's plenty of fucking room to just shit on Charlie over, which he started off strong with. Like the notion that you asked Charlie to define a man, he failed to do so. And then beyond that, he says, I'm a man because I'm a man, over and over again, literally personally, without recognizing, doing the thing that he said is wrong when the other party describes women as a person who defines themselves as a woman. Charlie does not know he is a man because he got a fucking chromosome test. Okay? And if he says, well, I did get a chromosome test, then you ask him the question, did you know you were a man before you got your chromosome test? Okay? Can I trust that that you actually got a chromosome test and I know that you're a man? That's it. That's literally it. The question is, did you know you were a man before you got your chromosome test, or were you just kind of like all over the place? Were you just like, I don't know what I am. I need to get a chromosome test. At what point in your life did you get a chromosome test? It's because conservatives make this process unnecessarily complicated. So use that complication to your advantage. Okay, brother, he has a dick. Of course he knows. What the fuck are you saying? But that's not what he said. He didn't say you need to have a dick to be a man. He said you need to have a certain set of chromosomes to be a man. That's how he defines it. Or at least that's how he defines being a woman. Okay? What happens if someone gets into a fucking accident and no longer has a dick? Are they no longer a man? Are they something different? What happens to Steve Scalise, okay, majority whip for the Republican Party, who got shot in the dick at the congressional baseball game? He no longer has a dick, or a working dick. He has to like pee into a fucking bag for the rest of his life. Is he no longer a man? Would you not refer to Steve Scalise as a man when you are referencing their gender? Is there a process in which you lose your manhood? Is it just a penis? And the same argument goes for women who can have a child, right? Women who can bear children. What happens to a woman who cannot bear children? What happens to a woman when they go through menopause? Are they no longer a woman because they no longer have working ovaries? I guess they're no longer a woman at that point. They're something different. No, of course not. These definitions, this is not how this shit works, okay? This is also precisely the reason why transphobes, depending on the level of transphobia that they're operating on, inevitably become transvestigators, because they cannot reckon with the reality that gender is a social construct and a mechanism for expression, which is why they start suspecting anyone and everyone of being trans, including those in their immediate vicinity. Sometimes, depending on the level of mental illness, transphobia is a mental illness, not being trans, but transphobia is actually the real mental illness. You become a transvestigator and you start assuming that your fucking parents might even be trans at the highest stage of that mental illness. Okay? Bro, you are making me lose my mind. The fuck are you saying right now? There is no hard definition of what it means to be a woman, okay? Because being a woman is a social construct, okay? Got him. You got me? You got what? What did you get? No, this person said got him.
Concept of God, the transcendent God, that there was a 10 commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No. Just because people agree
so
doesn't
then-
make it
so, okay,
objective.
then what-
Again, independent of a
Then
stance.
What is
Agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then? Sorry, thanks. We'll be back at it next time.
Mason, good to
How
meet
are
you.
you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're plagiarizing the whole Matt Wall.
Hey, Hasanabi head in the building. We got a teacher / Hasanabi head / Hank Pecker enjoyer. Mason right there, brother. Famous from the fucking secret conservative Jubilee video. I believe that was a Jubilee video. Let's go. Let's hear our boy Cook.
Walsh thing. Like your
Dude,
thing is
I
the
pay him
worship of Israel and everything like that.
I pay him
like,
royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender.
Classic. Immediately came in with Israel. God damn, Mason. Dial it back. Hank Peckerhead. Of course, the Hank Pecker fan immediately comes in and starts talking about Israel, dude. God damn.
Exist. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personalities.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're
And they're-
already
they're-
incorrect. Like sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be
but I-
externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already
intersex,
talked about
right.
intersex. Correct.
However, with intersex though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but which
we're
one
talking
is-
about an entire spectrum.
which
like
sex
you're
organ
by
is
definition
dominant, though?
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. That like XXY.
Charlie,
example,
you're
what-
trying to create this
what-
own box and then use any examples that are outside of that
No, but
box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs? Which one is more dominant
What do you mean?
in an XXY situation?
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I
on
mean,
that?
obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX. One of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people
So-
with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
I don't think Charlie understands what bimodal means. People have literally both. Like you can have both. And in that situation, I think he means like, oh, well, one works and the other one doesn't. Okay, who cares? Like, so do they have to lean into the one that works, or do they lean into the one that works up here? Okay, because the idea, even if the idea is that like you have to pick one, okay, that in and of itself breaks the argument that Charlie is suggesting, which is that it's a binary. It's not a binary, and you're forcing a binary. You're forcing this binary choice that is not binary because you understand it's not binary, but you're trying to enforce rigid societal norms onto this person, which by the very definition implies that gender is a social construct and not necessarily a biologically predetermined phenomenon. If it was, then it wouldn't work that way.
Okay.
Do you understand how the
So
conversation?
we're moving off of sex because
Well,
you're
no,
ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it.
Okay.
You want to keep going into it?
We can if you'd like.
Oh, okay. So besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution
Like-
graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding. yeah.
Okay, well,
So
you
I'm-
can
I'm-
be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal
So
distribution.
just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just
here,
trying to match
but,
your
like-
energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a
Got
conversation.
it.
you know,
So
talking. It
trans
seems
women
like-
are not women. Do you
Okay.
agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which it seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since
I
you're
don't know.
so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your
Oh my God, if someone asked him to do a blood sampling, dude, that's it. That's all it takes. By the way, he's chefing. Mason, you are chefing, brother. Good shit. Just be like, oh, are you a man? Why are you a man? Oh, you have a blood sample here? If you don't have a blood sample here, how do you expect me to fucking believe that you're a man? It almost feels like we both have to kind of agree to what you tell me, don't you think? Just like when you tell me your name is Charlie, I don't suspect that your name is actually secretly something else, okay? And even if it was secretly something else, when you tell me your name is Charlie, I'm going to go along with that. Everyone else is going to go along with that because that's kind of how social interpersonal relationships work.
Your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are a man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones. You could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
No. Yeah. So
like if we were at a restaurant, right?
I'm sitting down you're a man,
and I'm sitting down at the table, and you're telling.
This is why I do what I do, motherfuckers. This is why I do what I do. What's up, One Hand Politics? This is why I do what I do, motherfuckers. Look at what he's explaining to him. Look at what he's gonna explain to him. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I wonder if Charlie lets him go, he's gonna do he might not use umbrella. He might say purse, but we'll see. We'll see what hypothetical scenario Mason brings up here.
Telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah. Well, I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
Maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that, do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
So you could
yes,
act
that's
it.
what gender is.
Okay,
great
got
job.
it. So you could it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. These are social. These are social
womanhood
categories.
can be a.
It is technically like a theater troupe. It's just that we do it every day, so we just assume that it's like we don't even do it without thinking about it. But yeah, he fucking cooked them. He cooked them so well.
Appropriated. No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years,
for sure.
you'll see a difference when it comes to those.
Like for example, the Mayan.
And also, again, what about women who can't have periods? Okay. Are they not a woman at that point? What about a girl before they develop, before puberty, a prepubescent girl? Are they not a girl? Are they not a woman? Okay. What about a person who went through menopause? Charlie, is your mom a woman? She's of that age where she might have gotten menopause. What about a woman who simply cannot give birth? Yeah. Women that take birth control, no longer women. Sorry.
And said plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay,
so,
we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law.
Oh, dude, Charlie gets real touchy when you bring up God. Okay. It's so stupid, Hasan. Charlie has lived 30 years and accepted people's pronouns the entire time, ostensibly without ever having seen their genitalia or their chromosome test. So why did he do that? That's what I'm saying. Like the chromosome test is perfect because it's like, Charlie, when did you get your chromosome test? Oh, I got it 2 years ago. Okay, did you not know you were a man before you got your chromosome test? What do you mean?
And due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that your priority.
Defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build.
He gets so mad when like Western civilization is in the crosshairs, you know? That's fire. They built the Western civilization. Built the greatest nation of all time. Ah! Don't you dare come after Western civilization, which is the greatest civilization of all time, but also so fucking fragile that like a bunch of tender queers can break it down entirely, okay, with 3 Tumblr posts. The greatest, okay? The most infallible arbiter of morality that has brought civilization to the fucking moon, but also literally entirely falls apart because there's, you know, a bunch of queer people now. It's done. It's over. It fell apart. Famously, Greeks and the English believed in God as soon as fire was discovered. Yeah. And they were Greek and English at the time, too. The reason why I don't like the religious argument overall, before people, you know, come at me as well, because I know we have a fucking 80% atheist community in here, according to the census, like 78% or something, is because I don't give a fuck. As long as you are not using your religious beliefs as a mechanism to harm others, to act like other people are invalid or whatever the fuck, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Who gives a shit what you believe? Who cares?
Build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
okay.
Fine.
I think the minds would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a
nation?
fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, over killing and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the
keep
child
going into it.
sacrifice?
And this is the
on
condescending
top of
tone that
temples?
why I'm trying to match it is because
You mean
I'm
all the
just
child
trying to
sacrifice, the Aztecs, Mayans?
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, child sacrifices. Okay, you know, what is 500,000 dead Iraqi children, Charlie? We should know better by now, but what is 500,000 dead Iraqi children to you? What are school shootings that happen every fucking week at this point that your party says is just a fact of life? Okay? What about chattel slavery? That is the underpinning of this beautiful Western civilization that you hold on to as the best, you know? You can't, on the one hand, be a card-carrying Bible thumper and then also on the other hand be like, well, Mayans did child sacrifice. Stupid.
And ink instead on the top of temples. Great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the
Wait,
child,
hold on, no.
child marriage, and we
on.
can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't, though, because at the beginning of Genesis...
Yeah, so God just said, like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove
Abraham.
Obedience. Yes,
yeah, that's
correct.
right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole.
That is a little bit of a rabbit hole. So is the justification of slavery, because religion is what you make of it. It's all subject to interpretation. Charlie likes to pick and choose ultimately. But, you know, you could say chattel slavery is child sacrifice. It happened.
Understand at least, can you sympathize with
and
our...
was justified by the Christian Bible. But the Christian Bible also played a role in abolishing slavery, for the record, which is why I always say religion is what you make of it, you know, subject to interpretation.
Okay. I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, but you're doing... It's fine. But did you see where...
A bear mauled 30 children for making fun of a bald. Okay, first of all, that is the good part of the Old Testament. And we are not going to, you know, we're not going to sit here and act like that was a bad story. The story is children are fucking mean, okay? Kids are mean, and mean kids get mauled to death by bears. That's a good story. That is a good story and a wholesome lesson, okay? It's not even just about, like, shitting on bald people, which you shouldn't do, but also simultaneously, it's more so about how mean kids are. Okay? If you've ever been ripped to shreds by a bunch of fucking Zoomers, bunch of teenagers at the basketball court, for example, they call you Unk, you know what this is, okay? You know what this is. You experience it on a daily fucking basis, regardless, because you're online. They're called Aiden Ross fans, okay? They're terrifying. They got no morality. Okay? They got nothing going on. They got nothing going on up there. And maybe some of them should learn that lesson, that if you make fun of adults, you will get mauled by bears. You said the moral of the story is don't make fun of bald men. That is one moral of the story. But the other side of the story is children are mean and ruthless. And if they lean into that mean streak that they have in their heart, then, you know, they will get mauled by fucking bears to death. Bears will kill them to death. Okay? Murat, geldi. All right, Murat ordered food.
Where this could get wildly out of control, at least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control, because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon.
Bradley Martin slapping stable Ronaldo is the modern version of that biblical tale. Yeah, look at stable Ronaldo now. Much more stable. Okay? He learned that lesson. He tried to tackle a bear and call him bald directly. What did the bear do? Smack the dog shit out of him, okay? Smack some goddamn sense into his ass. He's a better person as a consequence of that. That's the Old Testament, dude. Right there.
Right?
Be kind to people, be ruthless to children, Hasan Avi.
Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
No, they did. I'm pretty sure they did, didn't they? I mean, women... There was definitely a point in history where they did. Yeah, there wasn't a distribution like that.
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was a...
Yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung...
Look up the story of Atalanta. They literally did. Cis men were smaller back then, dog. No, I'm pretty sure the men weren't wrestling. They were having sex. Yeah, the ancient Greeks also did a lot of stuff that I guess Charlie would be in support of.
Lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates.
Yeah.
Your endocrinology is
so
different.
If you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men...
Yeah, the Greek... I like the idea for Charlie that, like, ancient Greeks were like, well, ancient Greeks had like a podcast guy like Joe Rogan, okay? Joe Roganopoulos, okay? Joseph Roganopoulos, and he was like, listen, guys, the bone density of these fellas is way thicker, okay? Way thicker than the bone density of the ladies, all right? So we can't have the fellas and the ladies fight one another, okay? We can't do that. All right, so let's get back to boy fucking. Joseph Roganopoulos.
Men or majority of cis men are...
You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass. I will say that.
No, for sure. But okay. I mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
But she's at the peak of
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a...
Wait, first of all, are they even in the same... Wait, are they even in the same weight class? Like, the fuck? Why is this guy... Why do people who love sport or love using sports as an example never actually consider like a bunch of important stuff about sports, like the weight classes, for example? I just like that doesn't make sense. They both fought at 145, if I recall correctly. Like, I think Conor McGregor probably beat Ronda if they somehow figured out if they somehow got to the same weight class overall. Okay. Conor is 180 now. Ronda is 145. Yeah. Ronda has beat up other male MMA fighters and wrestlers, lol. Yeah.
Cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman and
correct. He's a cis man.
But yes, and
correct.
He could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. No, if you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
But again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear. So because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. I want to get him in. He hasn't debated yet. No, you're fine. You're fine. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Preeti. Nice to meet
Brittany,
you.
nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Preeti.
Preeti,
P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry.
You're totally good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to go back to a little earlier. You said that Parker has lower T than you. So would you say?
A joke.
Yeah. No.
Right.
I'm fully aware it's a joke. But I guess on that point, do you think that T has to do, or testosterone has to do with your manhood?
No. Well, yes and no. I mean, if you are looking at typical testosterone estrogen rates of women, they are far different than those of men. But for example, your testosterone rate goes down when you have children. For example, when you're a man, that doesn't make you less of a man. They go down by about 400 points.
Okay, but when we were talking earlier about sports, right?
Dude, What's crazy about this is like, in order to be a successful transphobe, you have to be such a goddamn nerd. Like, you are such a hateful person that you literally have to learn an entirely different set of facts and standards. And also sometimes like the actual, you know, the actual science behind it, just so you can correctly argue against it. And it's one of the weirdest fucking things that people do. I mean, it's just like, you are such a goddamn hater, bro. You are such a fucking insane person that you are spending your finite life learning all this shit specifically so you can be a better hater. And the things that you're learning are the exact opposite of the truth, the exact opposite of what, at least what like the current scientific evidence presents. Like, you might as well put all that time and effort into the D&D, bro. What the fuck are you doing? At least that could be more fun for you, you know? It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Well, I don't agree with Charlie here at all, but I don't think we should discourage using science as a basis for the argument. No, you missed the point that I was making. The point that I was making is that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, okay, all you need to do is subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. But the other point I was making is it's not like they're learning the science. The only reason why they actually try to learn the science even a little bit is so they can cherry pick certain points of it to go against the scientific consensus on the subject matter. Okay? Like, whether Charlie recognized it or not doesn't change the reality that trans women are women, that gender is a social construct, and trans women are still women no matter what. Like, trans women are still going to exist. Trans men are still going to exist. And it's so weird, so fucking weird to me that he's just like, he thinks that he can debate away the existence of trans people. Like, just go paint Warhammer figurines or something. Like, that's a infinitely better use of your time. Okay? This shit is the same level as climate change denial and flat eartherism, and we have to start teaching it, treating it as such. No, it is. It is. The problem is, I guess with like flat eartherism, the earth does feel flat. Like, climate change is pretty much unavoidable. Like, you recognize it. Look no further than my latest TikTok if you want to understand it, you know? Here, actually, you know what? Let's just take a brief moment to watch my latest TikTok. Where is it?
Listen up, folks. To all the libtards on this communist application, used to think climate change was a hoax. Now I don't think it's a hoax no more. I live in California. It's 100 degrees out here in the middle of September. Holy fuck. 100 degrees in freedom units. That's like around 40, I guess, in Euro cook units. But god dang it, it's hot as a motherfucker out here. Sweating like a sinner in church. Hank Pecker out. I think this climate change shit is real. Me and my baby girl right there, we're hot. We're furry, and we're hot. Listen up, folks.
Just saying. But in terms of like transphobia, the problem is gender, okay, in the way that we understand it is very rigid, or was very rigid in Western society, in the United States of America, in contemporary society. Okay. And it's considered as a binary, and people and gender is like something that you closely associate with your own personhood. So it's very hard to shake people off that. And it's much easier to just like make transphobic arguments. Right? For some reason, people, regardless of like how many fucking flat earthers exist out there, it's just, you know, it's not usually something that like normal adults associate with like being a valid point of view. Whereas people do associate transphobia with like a normal opinion due to how close and personal we consider, like how important gender is to our identities.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you were saying that the reason why it's unfair for like for example, a trans woman who used to be a man to be like competing in women's sports. You cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density. Their men's hearts are bigger. Okay. We have greater bone density, muscle mass.
Okay,
tend to be faster, tend to be stronger.
I understand.
I think trans women competing in sports is also like the in terms of like changing public opinion, it is the hardest one to fucking argue against because people will never listen to you because Joe Rogan and many others have already set up the groundwork by establishing themselves as like the formative authorities on this. So much so that like family groups, Christian fascist groups basically focus tested it and tied transphobia to meritocracy and found the perfect sauce, which is why like I think it's what like 60% of Americans or even larger majorities believe that like trans women should not participate in sports. So if you're trying to just like win an argument over trans women or not women, I think that's the hardest one to win over in terms of like winning over the people that are watching, I guess, the onlookers.
But like those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all of them. So, for example, you could try to pump a young.
Merit has no physical manifestation. It doesn't matter. Americans value sports as like one of the only ways that we can actually truly see some form of meritocracy. We can discuss whether real meritocracy even exists in that circumstance. That's why my perfect counter to that always has been Messi, talking about Lionel Messi. Okay. But overall, let's hear what Charlie has to say. Let's
girl's
continue.
Body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Okay, but like
because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
Right. The coding of our genetics, which is often like controlled by like different like I guess parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective coding of how
we're more than endocrinology,
produced.
but it's a big part. Because, for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male, or estrogen giving them a female.
Okay.
They might get characteristics that are close to that.
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't. For example,
but I mean, like, there's no perfect image of like this is what a female looks like. This is what a male looks like. Like we all get our periods at different ages. Some of us like, and also like for example, like there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences
for
that
sure.
every single person.
Can you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is. And the reason why is because it's something that's an individual experience for every single person, right? Like my experiences, what I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different environment.
We have disagreement, but not clarity. I say that being a woman or womanhood is an objective thing.
Right, but
it's objective outside of one's own opinions or experiences.
So, but are we at the point where we're discussing where this is like not something based on your chromosomes, but something maybe based on a construct?
Well, no, it also can be objectively witnessed in empirical ways, in biological ways, in scientific ways.
Okay, so to clarify, we're still discussing whether womanhood is on chromosomes or not.
If you'd like to discuss that, it's deeper than just chromosomes.
Right, right. I'm just trying to define exactly.
For example, if we look at SPECT scans or brain scans of men and women, 98% of the time, artificial intelligence can tell you which one is the men and which one is the female.
Okay.
So
an NYU study found that AI can detect differences in male and female brains 92 to 98% of the time. It does not. It does this by spotting patterns in brain structure invisible to the human eye. Wait, what? AI? You can tell a woman and a man from the way they walk. Okay. I like how everything devolves back into transvestigation.
Different parts of our brains fire. So for men, for example, our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know what amygdala is the threat assessment part of your brain.
So obviously like your birth, so there's a difference between the concept or what sex is, which is a biological aspect, and what gender is, which is a social construct,
I reject gender completely as a different word.
Yeah, he's like, I reject gender. He's a gender abolitionist, dude. My goat. Charlie is my woke prince, dude. I was wrong about him. He is more woke than I ever could be. He is more woke than I can fathom. Okay? He's running around. I shouldn't even be calling him he's their ass motherfucker over here, bro. He's just like, he's moved beyond the necessity for gender. He's like, I don't care. That's not a thing. Abolish it, okay? Do not call me a king. Call me a emperor.
Really,
okay, so that's where the debate is.
Yes.
It's the existence of gender.
Gender means personality.
Okay.
I don't doubt that biological men might have feminine
how would
type
you define
characteristics.
race on that point?
How would I define
How would you
race?
define race?
Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay, because I think that
Oh, dude. It's a very difficult topic because I'm racist. Oh, race is a very difficult. The way he said that is so funny.
how would you define race?
Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay,
And then he stopped.
because I think that it's a really important thing to discuss when it comes
here's
to
the thing,
terms of
if
this.
I draw
because
if I draw blood, if
is
there
it
were-
ethnic lines?
if you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man,
And he's like, we tried. Charlie's like, I have tried. Okay. I've tried really hard. We want to do it. We just can't. Okay. It's really hard. We really want to do it. I've been advocating to bring back the pencil test. And people keep saying I'm weird and gross. Even in the Republican circles that I frequent, they keep saying, no, dog. No, we can't. We can't do the pencil test. For those of you who don't know what the pencil test is, in apartheid South Africa, in order to determine whether someone was even a little bit black, they would put a pencil through your hair. Okay. And if the pencil fell, as in you have straight hair, you were white. If the pencil stuck to your hair even a little bit, then you were not considered white enough, and therefore you couldn't go into certain places. Very racist stuff. White people got real creative with their racism. Okay.
and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example,
Do you do that though?
if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in
why
the genetic
is it?
coding. There just isn't.
Why
We
is
don't
it
see- we-
important that someone's oh, okay.